Welcome to the Horror Friendly Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Horror Friendly Podcast, part of the You Run Podcast Network. My name is Katie, and I am joined by Chantelle.
Hey.
Hey.
Sorry, delayed reaction there.
Well, sometimes I say hi, Chantelle.
Sometimes it's how are you? Yeah.
Yeah. I just, I'm so unpredictable.
Clearly, improv is our
It's our skill set.
I couldn't even think of the word to end the sentence.
Oh, wifey.
How are you though?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah,
but
good.
More excitingly, you went to see another new film recently.
I
Quite
did.
a cinema trip so far this year.
I know. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's like the the good thing about being near a cinema, whereas like you are kind of stranded. So I've got to do it. Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to make up for both of us. So yeah.
But yeah, I went to see The Monkey.
How was it?
It was really good. Like it was really good. Very different from Longlegs. But like great, like really fun, very gory, kind of funny as well.
Yeah.
It was really well paced as well because I was a little bit worried about that, but it was kind of like a lot like stuff was like continuing to happen throughout the film. Like there wasn't anything that felt really dragged on or really long or anything. So I thought Theo James, I believe his name is, who's the main guy. I thought he was excellent as well. And I think like I say, very different from Longlegs, but same director, Oz Perkins. So kind of very sort of similar sort of look to it.
Right.
And vibe, which if you liked that in Longlegs, then you already like that in this one as well. But it's very good.
Nice.
So I would recommend it. Oh yeah, one thing I was going to say was a lot of it's like about death and about grief and stuff. And as we were saying in the Longlegs episode, like Oz Perkins has a kind of a weird relationship with death. Like Anthony Perkins died from AIDS-related complications, and his mum died in 9/11. So two very insane ways. So yeah, a lot of it is about that. So, and about how you handle death and how you see death. So it's very interesting as well as kind of funny at the same time. So yeah, I would give it a 4 spookies. So let me know what you think when you go and see it, guys. And hopefully we can get Tal to watch it soon as well.
I am very, very eager to go see it. It does look, the way it's advertised as well looks so good.
I think you will like it, actually. It's very different to Longlegs. I think like you'll
same
like
director, different
film. Yes.
Amazing. Yes, no, I definitely do. There's lots of films seem to be coming out this year, so
yeah,
we keep saying this, but yes, I do need to make the effort, get to some cinemas, because it just has to be done. Gotta be there.
It'll make it work.
But this week we are going back to 2010. And we are covering Frozen, not that one, Adam Green's one. 3 skiers stranded on a chairlift are forced to make life or death choices, which prove more perilous than staying put and freezing to death. So, Katie, first time watching?
I watched it recently, so literally like a couple of weeks ago for the pod, because it was just I saw that we were covering it, and I was like, well, I want to watch it. So, yeah. And then today was my second time watching it. But so it was only recently that I watched it for the first time. But I didn't really know what to expect. I'd heard like a few things about this film. Like just I'd heard it kind of like in the background, like when people talk about horror films, they always kind of, not always, but sometimes they bring this one up. And I was a bit curious about it. So I'm glad we are covering it. Because I think it's kind of different to other things that we've covered before. Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, similar actually. I think it came up when we were doing Hatchet, because obviously same director. So, but this is very different to Hatchet. This is way more serious. And I think when it kind of started, I was expecting kind of like Party Mountain vibes, like kind of a bit more that way. I was surprised how quickly they got stranded. And then I was like, okay, it's only an hour and a half. I guess they kind of have to just get into it. But yeah, I was surprised how quick things were happening. And then like it was weird because like I don't know, like say the chairlift stopped and then they're like, oh, but a storm's coming, and then the storm hit and then it stopped. Like there was just things that seemed very rapid, which I did not mind at all. But it was just funny because you're like, how long I don't actually know how long they were up there total. If it was just, I think it was just one night because they were like, we're not going to survive a second.
I think it was just one night, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was one night, and then the next day is when they, got down.
Yeah.
I will leave it there. But yeah, how did we? Yeah,
I know
how we feel about this.
Yeah, I know what you mean about like the pacing with it, because I feel like in these kind of like survival horror films, you do rely heavily on the characters because you're supposed to be rooting for them at the end.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a bit of the sort of personality stuff, like the stories about his friend and like his ex-girlfriend and stuff, like, and like her story about how she met the guy. I can't believe I don't remember his name. Thank you, Dan. I will bring up the page that I need to bring up. But yeah, so it sort of felt like all of that was quite rushed as well. Like, to me, it didn't feel like I don't know, I wasn't really rooting for any character because I kind of didn't have a chance to get to know them.
See, I quite liked Joe and Dan. I quite liked their relationship. I liked how he was like, like when he was telling the story, and he's like, that's my best friend since like childhood. You've been dating him a year. That's my friend. Like, that's my best friend. It's like, yeah, it's like if one of our boyfriends suddenly decided like to try and have a pop, you and me be like, bitch, we were here a lot earlier.
Yeah, that's true.
You sit back in second place.
I get what you mean. Like, I did think Joe was being like a little bitch at the beginning, if I'm completely honest. Like, when he was just making these constant digs. Like,
yeah,
you've also agreed to go like with your best friend's girlfriend, like, and also just stop being a little bitch. You'll be fine. Just go and make another friend.
This is the thing. Like, you hit a certain age and you just kind of expect the other half to be there. Like,
do you know what I mean?
Like, yeah. But I didn't particularly warm to Parker.
Right. Okay.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if she just seemed really whingy. Like, she seemed a bit okay at the beginning, and she was like trying to be respectful, like, oh, I'll stay back here, whatever.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like every time something happened, her immediate reaction was to cry. And it wasn't like a little, oh, I'm overwhelmed little cry. It was a full-on sob every time. And it was like, that's not, but also it felt like
so helpful.
The kind of like the chairlift had stopped, so the lights had gone out. Her boyfriend sat there going, it could just be a power cut, and she's immediately like, we're gonna die. And I was like, you are not helping. Do you cry every power cut? Like, this is it. I'm like, at the moment, it's not panic mode.
Yeah, it's not. You don't have to go to panic station at this point.
Yeah, she like went straight to 100, and then I was like, no, like, I don't know. It just made her a little bit unlikable because she just almost came across whiny, and then every time it was like, we need to do something, it was up to one of the boys to do it. She just kind of sat there, and I know like Dan was trying to look after her, but I just can't imagine in that situation not trying to do something for your own survival.
Yeah,
I don't know. She was a bit unlikable.
Yeah, and I get like what Adam Green was doing in terms of like kind of making maybe the guys, or especially Joe, like kind of douchebaggy at the beginning, because then you see a bit of development and you see that like, Joe essentially kind of, he doesn't sacrifice himself because I think he's trying to survive as well.
He
but
is
like
full on trying to survive.
And he's like really trying to help Parker as well at the end of it. And obviously like Dan, and how they say like, spoiler alert, when the wolf scene happens.
Don't you fucking let her look! No, I won't, man. Don't you let her look!
Dan's like, don't let her look. Like, it's very much, and you do warm to, I guess, those two more so than you do Parker. I just think kind of all three of them, I wasn't that invested maybe.
That's fair.
But like, more so, I do agree with you, more so with the boys than her, I think, because she didn't literally do jack shit until she had to, like 15 minutes before the film ended.
That's really hard because, again, I am like, okay, when it's survival and there's three of you, you don't want all three of you to jump straight away. No. That would have been a disaster. But she was, I don't know, just kind of, like not trying, not anything. And when it was like, oh, I should have stopped him from jumping, and it's like, like all of you should have banded together and like tied a coat or like hung him down, like something. Why the fuck did he jump with straight legs though? That was his own fucking fault.
Yeah, what a twat.
That was just the worst.
And then it's just like, oh, my legs. Well, yeah, like no shit. Of course that's going to happen.
Yeah. You jumped with straight legs. Everyone knows, bend your legs and roll. Like, you're
Bend
probably
and
still
roll.
gonna bend and roll. You're probably still gonna hurt them a bit, but what the fuck was he expecting? Like, I get he
Yeah.
said he was scared, but like, that's bad. That was bad.
Yeah, I guess it kind of like shows that people aren't thinking straight, like when they're scared and in the
True.
moment. But you're watching a film, so you kind of want like, come on, guys, think.
Like, I want him to try.
Yeah.
Like, and even then he was like, no, I can't fucking move. And in my head, I'm like, drag your ass to the snowboard and push yourself down the hill.
I thought that too. I thought maybe I'm being unreasonable, but I was like, I think he could have dragged himself. It would have been fucking painful, of course, but I think he could have done it.
I read a book years ago and I'm annoyed because it was an autobiography. They'd climbed Mount Everest. It was a fucking really famous person. I'll put it in now because I can't remember who it was. But there was like somebody broke their, I can't remember if it was a leg or both legs on Mount Everest and like dragged themselves but down to base camp. But like they said their only way of like doing it was to be like, okay, I just have to make it that far. Okay, I just have to make it till that lump of snow.
Like mentally.
Yeah, like mentally had to give themselves like little checkpoints. And I just remember reading that and being like, oh my God, like just like if I'm ever in that situation, I'll just drag my ass down. So when I saw this and he just immediately went to I can't move, and I was like, okay, deal with the shock, deal with the like when he tied his legs off. I was like, when he said he couldn't really feel his legs anymore, I was like, now you start dragging.
Yeah.
You're not like, it's not like you're gonna break them more.
Exactly. Exactly. And you can't be in a worse situation than you currently are. Like, you're just waiting to be savaged by wolves. So you may as well give it a go because like what have you got to lose, kind of thing.
Yeah. It was when the wolf turned up and like that hadn't even occurred to me. That's so stupid because I think this was shot. I actually had it up a second ago. They did say it as well. It was filmed in Mount Holliston, which I'm not sure where exactly that is in the US. But obviously, they kept saying New Hampshire, so I think it was like around that way. I'm completely guessing. But this is just so funny. I was like, is this just such an English thing that I'm like, oh yeah, you guys have like wild animals to worry. Because if this was in England, not that we have mountains and ski resorts, but if it's England, you're like, oh, the fox is here to steal my pack of crisps. Like, it's not really a threat. Like, maybe in the Alps do you get like slightly scarier animals, but
yeah. Well, I go to Austria to ski, and so I actually watched this film before I went to Austria, and I was like, "Are there wolves here?" It's like, no, you're a fucking idiot. Of course there are wolves.
No, Austria. Okay, I've just googled it. Austria is home to a variety of wildlife, including something I can't pronounce: chamois, bearded vultures, golden eagles, wolves, and brown bears.
Oh, fuck.
That's making me feel like that is AI searched, so that could be completely bullshit.
Yeah, I survived the bears, guys.
I survived the bears. But do you know what I mean? I was like, again, that's just not something I'd have even thought about.
No.
And then so suddenly when they were like, oh my God, there's bears and wolves. And I was like, oh yeah, shit, you guys have like real problems.
Yeah. Yeah, your legs just aren't broken. Like, there's more shit going on here.
There's like a lot of like, you should not have jumped.
No. Well, that's kind of relatable though, because they obviously didn't know like there were wolves. Like, even Joe was like, come on, that would be a coyote. That's not going to be a wolf. So like, even they were like joining in on our naiveness. Like, no, it's not going to be a wolf.
It's not a wolf. It's just a big dog. It's fine. Like,
just give it a treat.
Just give it fine. Just give it one of your legs. You're not using them. But I actually was a little bit again, that's why I really liked the boys' relationship, because Joe clocked what was happening and went back because he knew what he had to do to look after the girlfriend. And that bit where he's like, don't let her watch, was heartbreaking.
Okay, yeah, fair. That is very true.
But I was a little bit gutted of the way they handled Dan's death. One, because it was off screen. Apparently there is a deleted scene somewhere that's much more graphic. But one, because it was off screen. But then when you next saw where he'd fallen, there was no blood.
Yeah.
There was nothing. His body wasn't there. Like, I would have expected like his coat to have been ripped and shredded, just to kind of leave the horror of what had happened.
I think I saw his shoes.
Oh, maybe. I think I saw that.
Yeah, no, there wasn't a lot like left in you. There would be kind of some sort of carcass, wouldn't there? Like, I know it's buried in the snow, but like, yeah.
But you'd think there'd be something just to like again, it's only been a day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Not enough snow to have covered that. So I was like, wanted something to just be like haunting them.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think like I actually kind of like that you didn't see a lot of Dan's death, because I think sometimes when it's like a bit more off screen, it's up to your like brain to kind of think about what's going on, and sometimes that's scarier. So I didn't hate that.
I didn't.
But
but I wanted the after.
Yeah, the aftermath.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, it's like the opposite, where you're stuck in a desert and it's really hot and there's vultures. It's like the opposite, but instead of you're up and they're down.
Yeah.
And you're like, the wolves and the carcass, great.
Yeah. No, that's true. And like kind of like we see Joe's, there's a bit more of that we see, which I thought was great. And like Adam Green, fucking director of Hatchet, like he's not one to shy away from gore. No. So it's interesting that he did go down that route of like not showing a lot of it.
Yeah, and again, I just wanted the like blood, the aftermath, like the blood in the snow, because again, snow is like so good at that, where it's like you see the red straight away, even when the hands were bloody. I was actually, when we saw Joe's carcass, really confused. I didn't know which one it was. Yeah, because in my head I was like, Joe could have got to the bottom because they could still be eating Dan.
Yeah, to be honest, the only thing that gave it away for me was because he had skis on.
Yeah, that was it. The ski boots were rather than snowboarders. But that was it. I was like, they couldn't show his jacket or something just to confirm which one it was. Like, yeah, I just yeah. And then the wolf just staring at her like, keep going. Nothing's happening. Keep going.
Yeah.
You saw nothing.
We'll keep this between us. But like, yeah, she's fucking had it made. Like two guys like essentially sacrificed themselves for her. She just had to wait there for a bit and thought, okay, well, this is about to collapse. I better be on my merry way.
Well, again, it's collapsing, so we get so close. I love when she was like limping through the snow and then like whinged, and I was like, again, I understand she's in pain, but your partner, like your boyfriend's bones were sticking out his legs. Do you think you can walk? Like, do you think you'll be okay? Like, I just had no sympathy.
No.
I was really horrible, but I was like, look what your boyfriend's just been through. Like, you're fine, okay?
Yeah. And also, like, I know that your mind goes through a million things when you're like going through something terrifying, but like to kind of blame, well, she was essentially blaming Joe about Dan's death. Like, why do you have to do that? Like, don't be a dick right now. Like, it's not anyone's fault.
No, it was, again, like, he shouldn't have kept his legs straight, but he didn't know a pack of wolves was going to come and tear him apart. That part where they start blaming each other is just fucking rough. Yeah.
And to do it that quickly as well, like, kind of it going sour so quickly with them arguing. And then I guess you kind of see like a bonding session with them, like they start to tell each other stories and things. And I think there is where I guess Adam Green is like trying to get you to emotionally sort of, I don't know, sympathize with them. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like, I think it was definitely more on the guy's side.
Yeah.
It was almost I mean, I'm always up for a final girl, but it was almost a shame that she was the final girl, because I felt like it wasn't really warranted in this film.
It would have been almost better if it had been Dan that survived with his broken legs. Like, if those two had then ended up dying in whatever way, and then he survived, lost his girlfriend and his best friend. Oh, what a horrible ending.
Yeah, that's what we want.
That's what we want. The pain. But it's like she survived, got all the way down the bottom of the mountain and then laid in the road. I'm like, bitch, you have no survival instinct.
Yeah, I know.
Like, she was...
Well, actually, the one bit I found quite like emotional, I guess, was at the end when like she hears his voice in the car. I thought that was quite sweet. Like, it's like it's going to be okay, and like she hears that, and I guess that's quite nice.
I didn't realize until you said it that it was his voice. I was like, yeah, when the guy called her baby, that was really creepy.
You're gonna be okay, baby.
Yeah, it's like way too friendly.
I was like, I don't know what's happening, but this dude is get out the car. Like,
you're not safe.
Yeah, number 2 is gonna be you're locked in his basement. Like, oh, that makes so much sense, because they were joking about the pet names.
Yeah,
I missed that.
Yeah, it was just before he jumps and he says that to her, so that's quite a nice ending, I guess.
You're gonna be okay, baby.
But yeah, so. Yeah, I don't know. But this also has connections with Hatchet too, apparently.
As in same director?
Well,
it's Adam Green.
Yeah, so it says in Adam Green's subsequent film Hatchet 2, released 7 months after Frozen, Emma Bell appears in an uncredited cameo reprising her role as Parker in a scene serving as an epilogue to the main events of Frozen. In the scene, Parker is revealed to have successfully sued the ski resort for abandoning her, Dan and Joe, to the wolves, declaring she'll never go skiing again.
Jack, never something. What?
We were so scared. It was terrifying. I'm never going skiing again.
At all.
So apparently that's in Hatchet 2, and I don't remember that.
I do not remember that.
No.
Guess who's watching Hatchet 2 after this?
Exactly.
I feel like we'd have been like, do you remember that scene in Hatchet 2 where they like mention a ski resort for no apparent reason?
Yeah. I think all I can remember in Hatchet 2 is fucking Tony Todd's insanely gory death.
It was pretty good. But
It was good.
I do not remember that. I'm gonna have to rewatch that. That's really interesting. That's cool though, that like tying them together like a little Easter egg. But
Yeah, it is. It's just they're such different films. It's like how can you tie them together? But clearly he found a way.
Yeah.
So fair enough.
no, that's amazing. Although apparently after speaking about the wolves, they were only on set for 4 days.
Back. Good. Lower. Head down. Good. Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were actually generally big dogs. I didn't realize they actually use wolves. I thought they
Did
would
they?
Well, it says here the wolves were only on set for 4 days. But like I generally just assumed they just hired big dogs because that's what films normally do.
Yeah.
Just hire a giant dog breed.
Because was it year 5 where they used Alaskan hounds?
Year 10.
Sorry, year 10, year 5. I'm so sorry, everyone. Year 10, yeah, they used like a type of dog, didn't they? That's kind of, yeah. Cool. I mean, badass.
Sorry, I'm just like reading some of these because it's just interesting because it's like, for example, where possible, Adam Green chose not to go to the bathroom when he needed to during most of the scenes out of different deference to his actors and actresses who didn't have that luxury. I actually quite liked the scene. I know it sounds really weird, but where she wet herself and she was just like so sad about it. And again, I like commented that she cried about a lot of things, but I do think that was kind of just like her breaking point. Like she just all she wanted was to like pee, have her boyfriend, and just like everything was taken from her at that point. She was like, well, no dignity, no nothing left. And I think that was when she was just like, I'm gonna die here and be found in my own piss. And you could I don't know. For me, I was like, and that's when you break.
Yeah.
Rather than screaming bloody murder the first 5 minutes onto a chairlift. Like I understand the screaming with the boyfriend's death, but slightly earlier than that, I was like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I did kind of like that as well. And I suppose this also means liquid, so that'll freeze over as well, I guess.
Well, this was it because I was like, it's going to come out and warm up her legs for a little bit, and then it's going to freeze. So...
Yeah, no, it did feel like breaking point. Yeah, and I wasn't even sure, was she pissing on her boyfriend at the same time? I'm not sure.
Well, we don't know because the body vanished, so we don't know where the boyfriend's body went. So
No,
I hope she wasn't.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, actually, for the rest of the film, like, it was really unclear to me where Dan was, like, where exactly he fell. It was never really clear.
Like, I know the wolves ate him, but like, there should have been something left, like his boots, his coat, his hat, bones. Like, there should have been something left to show where he was or where he'd been ripped apart to that she could have peed on. Instead, I did actually like Dan as a character. I've been really insensitive to his death.
Yeah, I know. What would have been really dark is a shot of like the pee going onto his boots or something.
Yeah, that would have been really upsetting.
That would have been savage. See, maybe we need to make a survival film tale. Ours will be like way more depressing.
Really
Everyone
depressing.
dies.
Everyone will be like, so the saddest fucking film of your life. Actually, I don't think it could be a survival film. No, like everyone dies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah, but I do like so the film was shot entirely practically, meaning no soundstage, no green screen, and no CGI. So the actors and actresses were truly suspended over 50 feet in the air on the side of a real mountain in Utah, which is a bit fucking scary. And then to get the shots of the chairlift moving with the actors and actresses speaking on it, writer and director Adam Green and director of photography Will Barrett shot everything themselves as the film's hired camera crew were too nervous to dangle at those heights. When they say dangle, I don't know what, like, could they not have just put two chairlifts slightly closer together and just had them
You would have
sat
thought
down?
so.
I don't know. Like, was it that hard? Yeah. Now I'm like, why were you dangling? Fuck it. They just wanted to be in a harness. That's what it was.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
I mean,
crazy.
I appreciate the dedication.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Like, if you're going to do it properly, I guess. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it was yeah. I'm kind of the weird connection to Hatchet 2 is weird, but
I love that's really sitting with us. Like, I need to go
yeah,
watch
it's
that
really
now.
it's really thrown me off, to be honest. But it's just because they're very different films. But yeah. I mean, in terms of the connection to Hatchet 2, I thought maybe Victor Crowley was going to come out of the fucking.
Well, it wasn't Victor Crowley, but it was Kane Hodder.
It was.
We haven't even mentioned yet.
We haven't. This is going to be like in spoiler alert, guys, for Terrifier 3, if you've not seen it. This is going to be a situation when we see Tom Savini and me and Tell were like,
losing our shit in the cinema. But it was so great. Like, he was literally only in it for like 30 seconds.
yeah.
I so expected. It was almost comical how every time they threw something, he was looking the other way.
Yeah.
I was like,
I
this
know.
is almost comical because you've only been
Yeah,
up
it's
there like
almost.
20 minutes and he's already here to rescue you. Oh, it was just too good.
Yeah, it's fucking unlucky. Like, yeah. It's just like, surely they would have seen it. Like, it seems a bit mental.
Does a little bit, doesn't it?
But yeah, it was nice seeing him. He's obviously a close friend of Adam Green. Adam obviously loves him in his films. So yeah, it wasn't Victor Crowley, but it was the OG guy. So
Yeah.
what more could you want?
Why would you not want him in there?
Exactly.
But yeah, no, like that would have been the only thing to make this worse, is instead of the wolves coming out where it was actually fucking Kane Hodder.
Yeah, Victor Crowley, like.
So when the wolf takes down Joe, it is a border collie in that one shot.
Nobody saw that coming, and we all thought it was going to be all fun and games with the little border collie. I think he was like bruised everywhere, to the point that he would rather wrestle with the wolf than dart. Sean said he could not take any more.
For sure. And I'm not going to be up now.
We brought in a puppet dog for him to fight because the border collie was just kicking his ass.
The German Shepherd that was trained to do this stuff mysteriously died 2 nights before the scene was shot.
Ooh.
Which is really fucking sad. So and also one thing I didn't clock actually was so when Dan says that the worst way to die would be being eaten by a shark, and knowing that it was going to happen beforehand, like you see the fin, that literally is how his death happened. It foreshadows his death, and he even started getting circled by the wolves, which is what sharks do as well.
Yeah.
So he knew he was screwed, and he shouted up to like, don't let his girlfriend watch.
Because he knew it was going to happen.
He knew it was going to happen, which is actually what he... Oh, that's such another layer.
That sucks. That really sucks.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, knowing you're about to die and about to die in one of the worst ways you could die.
And you can't run away. Like, you're literally stuck there.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's a thing with wolves as well where they actually do like take their time with you. It doesn't seem like it, but like you're alive for longer than maybe you would be with like a lion or something. Like they would just bite you in the neck and you'd probably instantly die and be eaten. But like with a wolf, it seems like they kind of like he was screaming for, you know,
ages.
Yeah, it seemed.
They should have just started with the legs.
Yeah.
Like,
they went straight for the face.
To be fair, it is probably face and arms to stop people being able to like fight back. But it is just... But again, this is why I kept expecting them to be looking down on like the wolf still be there the next morning, like savoring breakfast. Because as you say, like...
Yeah.
Which is why as well I was so surprised they ate Joe, because I was like, they've just eaten a whole man. Like, and again, like wolves don't kill for the sake of it, they kill to eat. Are they really that hungry already? But like, maybe actually that, like, maybe Dan was their first meal in fucking weeks, so they were like, we're eating again. Like, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe they've just kind of thought, well, we've got 2 more up there. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's true.
let's get eating, boys.
It's a hanging buffet.
But you're right, you would think they would savor it because wolves are clever and they'll be like, well, we can, outrun them, we can outsmart them, like we got this.
It's also like in the snow, so the meat's good for a while because it's frozen.
But yeah, you're right, because it doesn't really like correlate when like the wolf lets Parker go. Because in like with that theory, like they would want every single human that is on the cards to them. So why did they let her go?
Unless they were like, we still have dinner.
Yeah.
There's no point killing while we're still eating.
Yeah.
I
and
don't
the
know.
wolves were like guarding it and guarding the carcass and stuff. So
yeah. It is a weird one, isn't
it? She was just very lucky.
Yeah. No, really, really bloody lucky. What did you think of the effects? Like, we have kind of said about like them in the story, but what did you think of like how they looked?
I thought they looked great, to be honest. I really did. Like, I think, I mean, I can only go by Hatchet, and those effects I think were great too. So I think Adam Green has got quite a good CV behind him in terms of SFX and things. I like that there was no CGI. I didn't know that, but it doesn't massively surprise me because I did think they were quite effective. Like you say, I do agree with you in that it would have been nice to see the aftermath of Dan a little bit more. Actually seeing him die, like I'm not really that fussed about because it was kind of dark on its own.
Yeah.
But that would have been quite cool to kind of see more of the corpse afterwards. But what we did see, like I thought what we saw of Joe was quite effective. But like you say, it may be a bit more to identify him. But I kind of like the look of the ski boot and the carcass. I thought that was pretty dark. Yeah, what about you?
I liked the frostbite stuff and everything, like when her hand ripped and like on her face. I thought that was really effective. Again, I quite liked the carcass at the end. I think that was just a nice bit of like, here's everything, here's a fucking carcass. I didn't love the knees coming through, or the bones coming through the knees. I just think they looked very obviously fake. And there was one shot where I think it was when the wolves were coming and he was like they did like a side view, but it was very obvious that the actor was just buried in and the legs were shoved there. So I think it looked really effective, like when they did the bird's eye view from the chairlift so his friends could see and his leg was at a weird angle. But I just think when they kept doing the close-ups, it just didn't look like a bone.
Yeah, it did look like he was just buried underneath these like fake legs.
Which, yeah, again, so you take a leave, but then like the frostbite ones were really good. So and then like that pulling of her hand off, I thought was great. So can't win them all.
No, can't win them all, but for the most part, it was good.
Yeah, we'll take that. And the other thing as well, typical of Adam Green, he was one of the chairlift supervisors. I don't know what you call them, operators. Okay. Yeah. But again, I think he typically puts himself in his films.
Nice. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Keep an eye out for them.
Nice. Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. And I think actually the girl that Joe chats up was Adam Green's wife. Yeah. I think they might be separated now, divorced now, but yeah, they were married between 2010 and 2014. So yeah.
I'm actually so gutted. Again, if Joe had survived, like when he got down the mountain, he could have remembered the phone number. Like, that whole thing, they did such a thing about the phone number. I was so glad he never got to ring it. And it was like Dan and Parker could have, died, have been forever lovers, and he could have moved on with his girl.
That's so true. He could have like got his phone, sat in the car, and then see just him put the number in, and then the film ends there. He
just had no idea who to ring. He was in panic, so he rang her. Like, she would have been like, ring 911, but
that would have been so good.
For me, I was like, they did so much about trying to remember that number.
Yeah.
I really wanted that to be his like hope.
Yeah, and then like bumping into her twice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're obviously trying to get something going there, like form some sort of thing in the film. Like, why not take that further?
And it just, I was really gutted it just didn't.
I think what we're taking from this is the wrong person survived.
We really didn't like Parker, didn't we?
It's
It
not
was
that
that she was bad. I just think she
no,
was.
it's not she was bad. I think she was just, it sounds bad, but like very lucky.
Yeah.
Like she was just escaped out of luck, which is kind of realistic because that's how, we're not survival, we're not all survival experts,
No.
we probably would do similar things to her in that position, but like she was very lucky, whereas like the other two were kind of at least trying.
Yeah.
So you were kind of rooting for them more because you were like, okay, guys, yeah, you're trying to do this. And like I said, like she only tried when there was literally no other option.
Well, it was even like it was even said by Joe where he was like, Dan didn't just die for us to sit up here and freeze to death. Like, so he was like, I have to try.
Yeah.
And again, even then she was like, I'll throw you the stick, and threw it so shit. And I was like, you've made this girl so unlikable. You've made her so just helpless.
Yeah,
And
incapable.
Incapable, that's a better word. Yeah, where it's just like, she could probably have done a hell of a lot more. She just didn't. And then everyone was like, we'll look after you and protect you and survive. As you say, like, it was a lot of luck.
It doesn't make you root for her as much because like, we're not asking her to be Bear Grylls, but like just to try a bit harder.
Just try something, anything.
Try something, like think of something, or just and like you say, don't instantly scream because that wasn't an appropriate time to scream. Like,
it was absolutely not. That felt like a 70s 80s film. Where we always say they start screaming too early. That's what that felt like. I was like, stop it.
Texas Chainsaw.
Like, nothing's happened yet. Shut the fuck up. Like, save the screams when you're really fucking scared, and then scare the wolf. I just not my favorite.
No.
Again, like as you say, most Survivor films, they do have to actually fight, so I think that did not work in her favor at all.
No.
But do we think we would survive?
They sat here like slagging her off, and I'm about to say, oh yeah, of course I would.
Absolutely I could.
I'm going to go with my old-fashioned line where I like to think I could. But yeah, I don't know. I think it is just out of pure luck, really, if you do. If you can sort of outrun a wolf or outski a wolf, I guess.
Should something go like
really wrong?
What is your?
I run for my life. We've got one guy here that's pretty slow. And if we can outrun him, we'll be in good shape.
Okay, good.
Or if it's at the point where they're not out yet.
Yeah,
maybe. But I think it really depends on like, I don't know. I guess it depends on the situation in terms of like when you fall, how you fall. So yeah, it's hard. I don't know if I would. I think I would definitely try harder than Parker, though. I'm going to say that. What about you?
Yeah, I'd definitely try harder than Parker. I think there's a lot of things I'd have done differently to them where, like, again, in my head, I was like, oh, just jump. And then when I saw him break his legs, I was like, fucking roll. Like, don't do that. Don't
do something.
Like so I think in my head, I'd have tried a lot harder and a lot sooner to survive. But even when, like, Joe is climbing along the top and he sees the wolves, he still comes down the ladder. And I'm like, just wait at the top of the ladder for them to fuck off. Like, and again, it's hard because I'm like, I know they're kind of on limited time here. But it's also, again, like in the morning, fucking Parker was like, should we give it a few hours and see if anyone comes? And again, it's that like wishful thinking. I was like, well, no, now the wolves have woken up. So I'd like to think I'd have done things a bit differently and a bit more proactive. But again, that's really hard to say when it's actually, like you're literally up against everything.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah. I'd give it a bloody good shot, though.
Yes. Yeah. And how many spookies are you giving this film? And what's your favourite spooky moment?
I think I'm going to give it 3.5. I did really enjoy it. I do think it's a good film, but I just think the bone SFX kind of upset me a bit, only because they kept zooming in. I was like, you're kind of highlighting the floor here. And I don't think Parker was too likable. But I did still enjoy it. And I do like Adam Green as a director. And I like that it was so different to Hatchet.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a horror comedy at all. It was like actually really tense. But my spooky moment, I think is going to be when he kind of opened his eyes and saw the wolf. Only because, again, like being English, I hadn't even considered that as an option. And I think that really was like, oh shit, what's about to happen? Like he knew, and that was scarier.
Yeah.
So yeah, what about yourself?
Yeah, nice. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 spookies. Yeah, kind of similar reasons to you, really. I thought it was really good. SFX was good and it remained kind of tense, but maybe just the characterization for me just made me come out of it a bit, just because, like we were saying, I think maybe the wrong person survived. And also, I just wasn't hugely like rooting for any of them, really. So it would have been nice to have felt differently. I don't know about them. My spooky moment, I will say, is when Parker sees Joe's corpse or what's left of it. Because you don't know at that point, like it could have gone either way, that he would have survived or not. So that was kind of shocking that you kind of see that. And you know, I guess Adam Green could have left it where we would never have known, you know, if he would have survived or not. So it was kind of like, whoa, okay, he's dead.
Did for a minute you think he just abandoned them down the hill?
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, before we finish, right at the end, so again, we were like, it could have been that Joe had been eaten. It could have been that Joe had just been like, fuck her, she can freeze to death. But that black car that went past her then saw the ski lift. And then she got picked up by the other car and taken to hospital. What was the point in that black car? Like, had Joe somehow managed to call for help before he got eaten by wolves? Like, what?
Yeah, because there was one car that just drove past her, like didn't stop,
but then went to the ski lift.
Yeah, that's weird.
So that's what made me think it wasn't Joe's body, and that actually it was like he had got down and called for help and she wasn't there anymore, and it was Dan's body we saw.
Maybe
I have to go back and look at those boots.
Yeah, well, I want to go and have a look on, like, see the uncensored version or the extended version of Dan's death, because I'd be kind of interested to see like more of the SFX on that, just to see what it looks like. But I'll have to try and find that somewhere. But oh yeah, that's a good theory. Who knows?
Sorry, I got completely like, I just suddenly remembered that car because it shows us the whole shot, and then she gets picked up by the other car that nearly ran her over because she was lying in the road. Oh,
that's interesting.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Anyway, right, we'll leave you on that cliffhanger. Join us again next week for another movie. Follow us on all the socials, subscribe, and you can see what we're going to be covering next. Until then, bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't
die.
Free stuff.
We'll get you by wolves.
So many ways to go.